Have you ever wondered why so few people actually live beyond 85, even though modern medicine is more advanced than ever? The truth is, it's not just genetics. It's hidden daily habits that quietly cut life short. And the good news? You can take control starting today. One of the most overlooked yet most powerful predictors of how long we live and how well we live is the state of our muscles. Most people think of muscle as something for athletes, bodybuilders, or those in their youth. But the truth is, after the age of 60, muscle becomes one of the most important organs in your body. Yes, muscle is not just about movement and strength. It acts as a reservoir of protein, it communicates with your metabolism, and it even protects your immune system. Studies have shown that people with stronger muscle mass in later years have a lower risk of diabetes, heart disease, dementia, and even premature death. In fact, researchers have found that muscle strength, such as how firmly you can grip with your hand, can be a better predictor of survival than blood pressure. Yet, despite this overwhelming evidence, most people slowly let their muscles waste away without even realizing it. This process is known as sarcopenia, which begins quietly as early as our 40s but accelerates dramatically after 60. Without intervention, the average person loses up to 1% of their muscle mass each year after their sixth decade of life. That means by the time someone is in their 70s or 80s, they may have lost more than a quarter of their muscle strength. The consequences are devastating. Simple activities like climbing stairs, carrying groceries, or even rising from a chair become monumental challenges. Weak muscles increase the risk of falls, and falls are one of the leading causes of hospitalization and death in people over 65. But it doesn't stop there. Muscle loss also slows metabolism, leading to fat gain, higher blood sugar, and greater vulnerability to chronic illnesses. The body quite literally begins to unravel when its muscle foundation is lost. What makes this particularly concerning is that most people don't even notice it happening. Because muscle loss is gradual, it sneaks in silently. You don't feel it in your 50s when you can still push through, but by the time you're 65 or 70, the gap between what you used to be able to do and what you can do now becomes glaring. This is why neglecting muscle health after 60 is one of the deadliest habits of aging. It robs people of independence, mobility, and resilience. And yet, the incredible fact is that this decline is not inevitable. Science shows us that even people in their 70s, 80s, and beyond can rebuild muscle with the right strategies. Muscle responds to activity and nutrition at any age. As we grow older, what we put on our plate becomes far more than a matter of taste. It becomes a matter of survival. After the age of 60, the body's metabolism slows down, digestion changes, and our ability to absorb key nutrients declines. This means every bite of food we consume either works for us or against us. Unfortunately, most people continue to fill their diets with what can only be described as dead calories. These are foods that provide energy in the form of sugar, refined carbohydrates, or unhealthy fats, but offer little to no nutritional value. White bread, sugary drinks, processed snacks, pastries, fried foods, and overly processed packaged meals dominate the modern diet. And while they may satisfy hunger in the short term, they starve the body of the very nutrients it needs to function properly. Dead calories are not harmless. In fact, they accelerate the aging process from the inside out. Foods high in refined sugars and processed starches cause rapid spikes in blood sugar and insulin, which over time contribute to insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and dangerous belly fat. Excess sugar also fuels inflammation, which is now recognized as one of the driving forces behind nearly every age-related disease: heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, arthritis, and more. Processed fats, particularly trans fats and certain seed oils used in fried and packaged foods, damage blood vessels, increase cholesterol, and raise the risk of strokes and heart attacks. Dead calories create what scientists call empty satiety. You feel full, but your cells remain undernourished. This creates a vicious cycle where the body craves more food in an attempt to obtain missing nutrients, often leading to overeating, obesity, and further metabolic decline. What makes this even more insidious is that dead calories are engineered to be addictive. Processed food companies design them with the perfect balance of sugar, salt, and fat to hijack the brain's reward system. For someone over 60, this becomes especially dangerous because the body is less resilient to the damage. The pancreas struggles to keep up with constant sugar surges, blood vessels lose elasticity, and the immune system weakens under the weight of chronic inflammation. Instead of repairing tissues and defending against illness, the body is forced into a constant state of stress. At a time in life when nutrient density matters more than ever, dead calories slowly poison the system, leaving older adults vulnerable to diseases that could have been prevented with better food choices. One of the most dangerous habits that creeps into life after 60 is prolonged sitting. At first glance, it doesn't seem like much of a threat. After all, what harm can come from relaxing in a chair, reading, or watching television? But the truth is, sitting has been called the new smoking for a reason. The human body was designed to move. Every organ, from the heart to the brain to the skin, relies on circulation, oxygen delivery, and mechanical stimulation from activity. When you sit for hours at a time, muscles shut down, metabolism slows, and blood flow stagnates. This silent chain reaction increases the risk of blood clots, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and even some cancers. Studies have shown that people who sit for more than 8 hours a day without consistent movement have a risk of dying similar to those who smoke or are obese, regardless of whether they exercise at other times. For older adults, the risks of sitting become even more profound. After the age of 60, the body is already prone to muscle loss, stiffness, and slower circulation. Long periods of inactivity accelerate these processes dramatically. Joints stiffen and lose their range of motion, balance weakens, and posture deteriorates. The core muscles, which stabilize the spine, become weaker, leading to back pain and increased vulnerability to falls. Even the brain is affected. Sedentary behavior reduces blood flow to areas involved in memory and cognition, raising the risk of dementia and depression. Unlike vigorous exercise, which many people over 60 may struggle to maintain, the simple act of standing, stretching, or walking regularly throughout the day has been shown to counteract many of the harmful effects of prolonged sitting. What makes sitting so deceptive is that it often disguises itself as harmless leisure. Retirement years, when people finally have more free time, can easily turn into long stretches in front of the television, computer, or even sitting at social gatherings. But while the mind may feel relaxed, the body is quietly deteriorating beneath the surface. Muscles are not being stimulated, bones are not being stressed to maintain their strength, and blood sugar remains elevated longer after meals because there is no movement to help shuttle glucose into cells. The irony is that while many people think rest preserves energy, in reality, excessive sitting drains vitality and shortens lifespan by robbing the body of the constant, gentle activity it was built for. Sleep is often treated as optional, something to be trimmed in favor of productivity, entertainment, or simply because of long-standing habits. But after the age of 60, the importance of sleep becomes magnified in ways most people don't realize. Good sleep is not just about feeling rested, it is a cornerstone of health, as critical as nutrition and exercise. During sleep, the body engages in repair processes that cannot occur while awake. Tissues are rebuilt, hormones are balanced, and the brain undergoes a cleaning cycle that clears away toxic proteins linked to neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. When sleep is neglected, these restorative processes are disrupted, leading to a cascade of problems that silently erode health and accelerate aging. Older adults are particularly vulnerable to the consequences of poor sleep because natural sleep patterns already begin to change with age. Deep restorative sleep, also known as slow-wave sleep, tends to diminish, making the body less efficient at physical repair. At the same time, disruptions such as frequent bathroom visits, pain, or sleep disorders like sleep apnea further fragment rest. The result is that many people over 60 wake up feeling tired even after what seemed like a full night's sleep. Chronic sleep deprivation does not just lead to fatigue, it weakens the immune system, raises blood pressure, and increases the likelihood of insulin resistance, making diabetes more likely. The risk of stroke, heart attack, and memory decline rises significantly when sleep is consistently cut short or disrupted. There is also a profound impact on mental health when sleep is neglected. Poor sleep quality is strongly linked with anxiety, irritability, and depression. The brain requires consolidated sleep to regulate mood and process emotions. Without it, small stresses feel overwhelming, decision-making becomes impaired, and cognitive sharpness declines. Sleep is also tied to balance and coordination, which means poor rest increases the risk of falls, already one of the greatest dangers for older adults. Many people don't connect their daytime struggles with their nighttime habits, but the link is undeniable. A tired brain reacts slower, focuses less clearly, and struggles to retain new information, which is why poor sleep has been called an accelerant of aging. Perhaps the most overlooked consequence of ignoring sleep quality is its effect on longevity itself. Research shows that consistently sleeping fewer than 6 hours a night increases the risk of premature death. Yet many people over 60 simply accept restless nights as a normal part of aging, when in fact it is a red flag pointing to an overlooked aspect of health that deserves as much attention as diet and exercise. One of the most underestimated factors influencing longevity after the age of 60 is not a medication, a supplement, or even a diet. It is purpose. Having a reason to wake up in the morning, something meaningful to contribute to, is a powerful driver of both physical and mental health. Purpose provides structure, motivation, and emotional nourishment. When it is absent, the body and mind begin to deteriorate more quickly. Studies across the world, from Japan's concept of ikigai to large-scale research in the United States, have consistently shown that individuals who report having a strong sense of purpose live longer, healthier lives than those who feel directionless. The absence of purpose, on the other hand, is associated with higher rates of depression, cognitive decline, and even early death. For many people, retirement is the time when this challenge becomes most apparent. The routines that once filled the day, work responsibilities, raising children, caring for others, suddenly fall away, leaving behind large stretches of unstructured time. At first, this may feel like freedom, but without meaningful engagement, boredom and isolation set in. The brain, which thrives on stimulation and novelty, begins to slow down without new goals or challenges. Social connections often shrink as well, and loneliness itself has been shown to be as damaging to health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. A lack of purpose feeds into this cycle, where disengagement leads to less activity, less curiosity, and a faster decline in overall well-being. Purpose does not need to be grand or tied to career achievements. It can be as simple as caring for a garden, mentoring younger generations, volunteering in the community, or learning a new skill. What matters is that it provides a sense of direction and value. Neuroscientists have discovered that when people feel purposeful, their brains release chemicals that enhance resilience and mood. This sense of meaning lowers stress hormones, stabilizes blood pressure, and strengthens immune function. In fact, purpose acts as a buffer against the challenges of aging, helping people recover faster from illness and maintain sharper cognition for longer. Living without purpose, however, leaves older adults more vulnerable to the weight of time. Days begin to feel repetitive, motivation dwindles, and small health challenges can become overwhelming without a reason to push forward. The absence of purpose quietly drains vitality, creating a state where both mind and body surrender to decline far earlier than they should.